Everybody, hello there. Welcome to Real Talk with Andrew Mom and Anastasia. Today we have a special guest with us. His name is Richard Elbey, and he hosts the YouTube channel Supreme Decisions. And we're happy to have you.
Thank you. Don't forget the podcast, Supreme Decision Legal Men Podcast.
Oh yeah, name it all. I want you correct me, make sure I'm done.
Wherever you listen to your podcast at, that's where I'm at, Supreme Decisions.
Right, and I'm gonna obviously at the bottom of this, I'm gonna in the under the video, I'm gonna name all the places they can grab you. So it's very important. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here, and of course, Anastasia, thank you for being here always.
Hey everybody.
And
hey, Mr. Richard, how you been?
Hello, I'm actually doing pretty well, and today I got a chance to kind of get outside, get moving. I'm downtown El Paso today.
Oh, wow.
Down here by the plaza.
Oh, wait a minute. You're in Texas.
Absolutely.
So you're living in the hellscape. How is that going?
I'm not sure what that means, but
you know exactly what I mean. So when are y'all leaving? When are you leaving?
Oh no, this is my favorite place on the planet.
No. I'm talking about Texas. I didn't know. You didn't know.
Oh, when we leaving the Union, pretty soon.
Yes.
Texas is its own country.
They're going to leave the Union again.
So when are you leaving? Because this is my thing, right? I deal with Texas like I would deal with an ex. Let me help you pack. So you can go on about your business. So when are you leaving?
Hey, we're trying to move it on. We're trying to get it as quickly as possible. they won't let us leave.
No, but are you going?
Oh, dude, I left years ago.
So you seceded from the Union years ago.
Absolute 2008. We'll get into that later, though. We'll get into that later.
Okay, roger that. So, but how do you feel about Texas threatening in 2023? Because I guess they're supposed to vote on it. And Angry Soccer Mom, did you hear about what Elon Musk is doing? Okay, I know you got your introduction.
Absolutely. Go ahead. Let's go.
Go ahead.
Because he gonna say something crazy, but I know I've got another one for you that most people don't know about, but go ahead.
Go ahead, Angry Soccer Mom.
Okay. Well, we can definitely bring it all in. And again, also we have a caller who's going to call in with something special. Most people who watch know her. Welcome everyone who's watching. Please get your friends to come on and watch. Today we have a special guest, and he is normally we do a live show discussion topic includes anything and everything about racism, bigotry, inequality, and corruption in America. But today we are not doing that. We are focusing on our special guest, Richard Elbey, and for tonight we're exclusively discussing Supreme Decisions, and we're going to try to leave some time at the end for some phone calls. We're going to have one little special phone call in a few minutes. Richard specializes in criminal law, and this year marks the 10th. Congratulations, by the way, again, 10th anniversary in which he sat first chair and won a RICO case pro se in Georgia. And he is also building a master class for those looking to improve their court performance. And that sounds amazing. You want to add a little bit to that? Richard?
Well, the thing about it is the constant evolution of law right now, and it's a lot of people that I come in contact with that's been doing this for years, and they'll say, okay, well, that didn't happen. And what I'm offering is an ability to have the nuances of the things that not foreseen, and some of the things that help you apply the things that you've learned over the years.
For the master class? Is that what you mean?
Absolutely. Because a lot of times what it is, it's not what you know, it's how to apply and when it applies. Because matter of fact, I just had an incident where a friend of mine, he was arrested. His wife was really frantic, and I told her, well, no, don't worry about it, because we'll be able to get all of this stuff at this time and that time. And she kept going, oh, well, what we.
Uh-oh.
We lost him. He'll be back soon, though.
We'll get him back. We'll get him back. But
so ma'am. So I want to ask you a question.
Me?
Until he comes back in. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So what do you think about Texas seceding?
Well, I heard that Texas pulls this little shenanigan every single year practically. So I'm not buying it. I think I'm all for it if that's what they want to do. I mean, personally, those folks scare me. And I mean the government, not the people, obviously, but some of the people. But it's a scary thing. I think they should. You know what? Sure, go for it. But then I think it's just rhetoric and baloney and whatever. But I don't know. You never know in this day and age.
I just want them to go. I mean, just go. Because this is my whole thing, right? I think I was listening to the Braxtons. And Talonda, I will definitely give you my number. In one of them, I don't think it was Toni Braxton. I think it was Tamar. And she said that her mother told them that let your man cheat in peace until you're going to do something, until you're going to leave or you're going to do certain things. But listen to what she's saying.
I'll hear you out. Sounds bizarre, but go ahead.
No, listen. Like, for instance, if you're dealing with an ex, right? You're arguing with him every day, every night about him cheating, right? If all you're going to do is argue with him, exactly, Florida can kick rocks too. If all you're going to do is argue with him, are you leaving? Are you staying? Or are you going? It's not letting the person cheat and do whatever they want. But until you're ready to do something, why are you giving yourself a headache?
Okay, so you're saying bottom line get in or get out. You saying get in or get out, but stop talking about it.
Right. This is the way I feel about Texas. Let us live in peace until you go.
We start a whole other topic.
Go.
Right.
Go. Florida, go. Okay. Alabama, go.
You are done with
you. Go.
Oh, all right. We're back. I hear you. I hear exactly what you're saying. You're saying, shit or get off the pot for lack of say it. Sorry, I went there, but I hear you. But now, Richard, you didn't realize that you were now responsible for all of the states, and so you didn't get that.
Tennessee,
my shoulders wide enough; they can handle it.
Take them. Alabama, West Virginia. You can even take Virginia with you. All I care.
No, they can't come with us. They got to do their own thing. We independent. We can't be doing what they do. Especially not Alabama.
Texas can't be independent. Listen, first of all, Texas can't keep the lights on. You can't keep anybody warm.
We are the light.
What?
We are the light capital.
We have a whole nother show for this, people. We have a whole nother show for this.
Okay, first of all, let me tell you about Texas. Texas is like a raggedy man, okay, or a raggedy woman. You can't keep the lights on. You don't pay your bills. What is you talking about? You still got sundown towns. What are we talking about, sir?
See, because what's happening is like we got these coal mines and all that good stuff. We just don't have water. Like where I'm at, we just don't have water. It's hot all the time.
We don't hold you personally responsible.
Yes, I do.
Apparently she does,
but cool.
I don't. It's a good cop, bad cop thing, and I'm the good cop. Thank God for this one. Anastasia, you're
no, but he was talking about the young lady and her husband being arrested.
Oh, go on. Were you saying something?
Oh well, basically the long and short of the story was it was actually allowing her to calm down to understand what the process was and how. Because I always tell people, I don't help people with law. I help them manage their expectations, right?
Okay,
so when can you start over, with this,
Richard? Can you start over a little bit because a couple people, like 5 people, just came on and they might. I know you're. So he's telling a story of a client or a friend.
Yeah, a friend of mine. Her husband got arrested, and she went straight into panic mode. And she was like, oh, well, we had this, we had, no, we're going to have to control the things we can't control. But the simple thing was I had to tell her, look, we have to allow the process to play out. And then I had to explain to her what the process was. So when we started going through the motions, she started to see everything that I talked about. And once she saw it, it allowed her to calm down. Because her husband, by being a friend of mine, understands what the process is.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So he's able to better adjust and prepare for it. But even though you can't really prepare to be in jail on any level, especially in Georgia or wherever, especially Georgia. But it's one of those things, it's just a mental thing. Because a lot of times the challenge starts in your mind. So it's easier to process something when you know how to fight. It's the preparation that I always generally kind of push to get people in the right mindset of how to deal with the system, because you're going to have setbacks, because most people think the system is about the truth. Law doesn't care anything about the truth. Nobody cares about the actual process. And what's funny is even defense attorneys, I've had 2 on my show, and even them, they don't know 90% of the stuff that I know. I've had the 2 that's been on my show, they've started applying the things that I've given them. And they're like, I'm losing friends because now I'm winning cases.
You must give such peace of mind to people who don't understand the whole template of how it works. I mean, that's a godsend to know what's going on.
Well, the scary part is I tell people I love intelligent folks and innocent people, because they are the dumbest when it comes to the legal process. The reason being is because they live in the world of should. Oh, the police should do this. The judge should do this. Attorneys should do this. Well, that's not the world I live in. That's not the world I'm talking about, because I'm going to tell you where you actually live at, the reality of it. And what happens is, and it's funny, the reason why it's funny to me is because people learn that I'm not a nice person when it comes to this, because I don't do a lot of backing up. I don't do a lot of, I tell everybody I'm a hammer. So everything I deal with in the legal system is a nail. I'm not going to pussyfoot, and I'm not, as one dude used, was a velvet glove. Go ahead, Anastasia.
This is what, okay, so you were talking about your friend's wife. Mm-hmm. So I've known, well, not personally known, but people, Black people that went in for a traffic ticket, Sandra Bland, people that went in for low-level things that have ended up dead or brain dead or really hurt. So my issue with you, it's not an issue, but how do you reconcile with that? Because at the end of the day, this is all I'm saying. I don't care, not with you. I'm talking about the system.
Got you.
You can say whatever you want, but I'm paying attention to what you do. And I'm seeing young boys being essayed. Khalif Browder, prime example. He was in jail for 2 years. He was beaten. He was essayed, possibly. You know, they put him in solitary confinement. So what do you do and or say for a person like me that knows what happens behind those closed doors?
How do you calm them down? Is that what you're asking? Kind of like,
not so much as calm them down, but
here's the thing
as well too.
Here's the thing, because a couple of situations, it's difficult. One, once you're in, you do need someone outside that's fighting for you. That's one. And one of the things we talked about, just like you just said, that young man, because me and you was going to talk about him before, but we kind of got derailed on it.
Right.
And he was in a situation where he was actually innocent. He was actually innocent, but he sat there for 2 years before anybody even did anything. The reason being is because most of us, here's where the management comes in, because you have to understand the nature of the beast is what I call it. Because the nature of the beast never changes. They may do a few other things, but you have to understand the primary goals of it. The first tactic that they use is time, because they know most people, 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. It doesn't take a lot for you to miss one paycheck, which then puts you behind. Do you know, I'm going to go back. 80% of the people that are in prisons right now or in jails right now are there because of bail.
I know that.
They're not convicted.
We know. Trust me.
We have 2.1 million people that are in jails or prisons across this country. 840,000 of them are in there because of bail. They haven't been convicted yet.
They're not guilty of anything yet.
I agree.
But they're sitting there. Give you another example. Atlanta is doing the RICO thing again. They're doing it with Young Thug. And it's funny how it's playing out because nobody's paying attention. One of the things that Fannie talked about was how she wasn't going to tolerate thugs. But whenever she was questioned about the police officer that shot the young man that was naked 47 times and how she indicted him 6 years ago, he's still working and he's collecting a paycheck, and she has said nothing about it every time she's asked about it because she's the one that indicted him. Now, when she talked about thugs, she also mentioned the fact that they're not even in gangs. We're not sure that there's no proof that they're gangs. They just have YSL on their face. But then she stated something that most people miss because the young man that was connected to Thug, because everybody forgets he grew up in Atlanta. So he's going to know guys that are in Atlanta. He grew up in the hood. So guess what? He's going to know some guys that are in the hood. Now, what they're doing is saying, oh, because he knows them, because he's calling them, because he's texting them, he has to be the ringleader. This young man, his lawyer, he has a separate lawyer from Thug. He filed a motion for speedy trial. He got a bond for $65,000 for shooting at 2 cops, allegedly. They got a video, supposedly, where he shot 2 cops. But he got a bond for $65,000. Why? Because understanding the power of that motion, that paperwork. And this is where where I was talking about the management and the outside stuff. I did a video. It's literally called, it's 2 years old now. And I think it has 1,100 views. Just imagine that. I got a channel with 2 million views. 1,100 went to the one I said, do this first. Nobody watches it. Step by step, line by line, precept upon precept. I can say this all day, but it's up to somebody to apply it. The reason why they're using the time on you is because they understand Thug, to most of them, that's the money. Because they don't have jobs. They got to pay for something that has to come from Thug. She says she's going to make sure she doesn't even go to trial with them for 3 years. Why? Because time. She's looking to mentally break them, just like they threw the young man that was in solitary. Solitary, because I've gone to prison. I was in prison for 14 months, not jail. I was in prison.
Right.
I spent 13 of my 14 months in a literal, I could touch, if I can lay down on the floor, extend both of my arms both ways and touch every wall in my cell.
Right.
You're put in these positions to mentally break you.
Well, it's torture. It's known torture. It's been known for.
But again, no, that's exactly what it is.
It's mental torture. We know that.
State-sanctioned torture.
Absolutely.
But it's to play mental games with you. Because again, if you're not strong mentally, they can break you. That's why whenever they said something. It was funny because me and a young lady had a conversation the other day. She said, "Well, I don't see why somebody would say they committed a murder or say they did XYZ and go to jail when they didn't do it." I said, here's the great part about it.
No idea.
We were okay with them doing it to a 14, 15 to 16-year-old boy called Central Park 5, but it wasn't okay for Amber Geiger, who worked 14 hours. You interrogated 14, 15, 16-year-old children, and it was okay because, 17 hours, that's nothing. But when you're a cop and you do it for 14 hours and you go in somebody else's apartment and kill them, well, we got to give you the benefit of the doubt.
That was also a white woman. So let's not.
Hold on. And there's a lot of other stuff that went on because most people didn't even catch the fact that you couldn't open those doors unless you had a key. They also didn't mention the fact that there were pictures of her and him together on multiple occasions.
Right. I have that in my.
And even if you remember the EMT worker that was the first on the scene. He actually stated on the stand, she opened the door and it was closed. So she had a key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were so many things. Oh my goodness. I posted.
But again, these are things that are overlaid because most people, the one thing that you have to do, listening is a learned skill.
Correct.
Most people don't do that. And that's why when I was talking about Young Thug, the only reason I brought that up was because the simple fact that One, it took them 10 years before they started this shit back up. But then what happens is nobody paid attention because they're letting you know we're not in no hurry because we don't have any evidence against them. That was the one thing they kept pushing with me. They weren't in a hurry. I actually allowed them to play around because I didn't know how to defend myself. We were going to court for maybe 9 months. Literally, I got out of jail and I got out on bond, and I want to think it was 9 months that passed by the time we actually was like, okay, let's go to court.
So, Richard, are you saying basically that the system knows that time is to their advantage?
Absolutely.
Your job, your children, your spouse, your anything.
It's about revenue. You agree to things and you understand pressure. Pressure busts pipes and makes diamonds. They're not a whole bunch of diamonds. There's a bunch of coal.
People confess anything after they go insane for a while. I mean,
exactly.
Do whatever it takes.
And if you're sitting there and there's
frustration.
The one thing I'm gonna give you the great part about it. I helped Barack Obama in 2008. He ran on hope. That's what the country needed. We needed hope. He wrote a book called The Audacity of Hope. When you lose that by sitting in jail with no control, that hope dissipates really quick. So now I can come to you and say, hey, I know you ain't do this, but we don't really want you. We want your friends. So you take this 3-year deal and you can go home because, in Georgia, all you got to do, you done did most of your time here. So you'll be home in 3 months. That's the lie they tell you.
Yep.
Because why? They're allowed to lie to you.
Yep.
Why would these good guys lie to you if it was okay? Why
would
they
told my kid
somewhere when they don't have proof of it?
Yep.
And I did a podcast, and it was a friend of mine that a lot of people don't like, Tommy Sotomayor. He asked a question because he doesn't talk about. He asked a question on his show, and it was funny to me because he doesn't talk about law. We'll talk about that later at stage.
Oh, no, we won't. No, we won't. No,
he doesn't
we don't
talk about law, but he asked a question because somebody brought up killing. He said, here's the problem. There's a pyramid that's in place, but it's inverted. Because you have people that don't fight back, who should be at the top. They're told they're at the bottom. Then you have a police officer who doesn't know law. You have a prosecutor who doesn't care about evidence. You have a defense attorney that doesn't defend, and you have a judge that doesn't give a shit either way. And they tell you the judge is the most powerful person in the court. Yet the judge is an elected official by you. Mm-hmm. The prosecutor works for you and speaks on your behalf. The defense attorney, you're paying them. The police officer, you're paying them. So guess who's the most powerful person in the courtroom? You. Everybody works for you. The problem is they tell you and show you otherwise. So then, therefore, you then catch and accept the things that they're saying because they're wearing a shirt and tie. Because even I was talking to a young man yesterday, and I said the thing is I deliberately keep on my T-shirt because I know the stuff I say is hard to swallow. It's even harder to watch a dude in a T-shirt say it.
It's like using a spoon to torture somebody instead of a knife. It hurts more.
Absolutely, absolutely. I actually had a cop. I did a podcast, which surprised me as one of my most popular podcasts. It's about police unions, and I talk about the fact that how the police unions don't give a shit about cops. Oh no, shit, I keep cursing. They don't care about cops. But I talk about the amount of money they spend to keep bad cops in the police force, right? Because they love to tell, it's just a few bad apples. I literally did a podcast that aired Monday about the Minnesota Police Department, where 136 out of 144 officers that were retiring in the past 2 years, they're getting more than $100,000 or $180,000 on retirement, and 96% of them had federal cases and disciplinary issues against them when they were retired. I guess 96% is a small number, right? Or 136 out of 144, those are small numbers because that means 5 people were actually good. 5. Well, but now when we're told that we need to understand how their job is dangerous. But then whenever I talk about the most dangerous job in America is logging, nobody wants to talk about that. Well, when I talk about a more dangerous job that's not in the top 30, and then they want to, policing is different. Yeah, because it's called karma. It's reaping what you're sowing. And the worst nightmare to a good cop is a bad one.
Can
The
I
problem
ask you a
is,
question?
go ahead.
Okay, so to rewind, I need
Yes.
you to tell myself and the audience, my family member is in jail. I know what happened to Sandra Bland. Talk to me.
The first thing you do, I always tell people this, because even whenever I was in jail, I knew I couldn't fight while I was in there. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give you the quick breakdown. They arrest me for RICO. They have a shoot to kill warrant.
Can you tell what
Me and
RICO
my
is
wife
for folks that don't know?
Racketeering Influence Corrupt Organization.
Thank you.
I already know because I have friends in the FBI and other police departments that told me, "Hey, dude, they killing you when they see you." So I have a shoot to kill warrant. They've already arrested 2 of my brothers and 1 of their wives. So when I come downstairs, I tell her, I say, "Hey, that's the cops. Stay your behind up here." She's hard-headed. Come down. Anyway, I get arrested. They transport me back to Atlanta. So while I'm waiting, the first day I'm in there, they don't fingerprint me. They have me in a holding cell for literally 2 days. 2 days. 48 hours, I'm in a holding cell in regular clothes after being shipped from one jail to another jail. So I'm like 4 days. I got the 4-day-old smell on me. I haven't eaten. 4 days.
What'd you think? What'd you think they were gonna just kill you?
Because see, the difference was I was prepared for this to happen. If I was to go in, I was prepared. Mentally, I was prepared for this to happen. It's stupid how, but yeah. So there, they finally, put me in Gen Pop, and they put me in what they called the Thunderdome. The reason why they called it the Thunderdome was because I was in there with young kids. All of them were accused of murder in some fashion. And I started laughing because I said, yeah, they expect one of these young boys in here to hurt me. The funniest thing was, and I always tell people, you may not believe in God, but I can tell you what it is. I walk in the dorm, and as soon as I walk in, the news is on. Guess whose face is on the news?
Yours.
Now everybody wants to know who I am, because all they're talking about is Rico, and everybody in their nose is John Gotti. So we can't touch this dude because we don't know exactly who he is. So now, day 1, they don't have enough trays. So I don't eat. So that's 5 days, no food. I'm just drinking water. The next morning, they don't have enough trays. So then one of the older guys in the dorm was like, hold on. They actually skipped over your room. So when lunch comes by again later on that day, the dude says, hey, I need to go to the infirmary. So when they take him down to the infirmary, he comes back with 2 trays. He hands me one. He turns around, looks at the guard and says, if he doesn't have a tray, we ride in the night. And the sad thing about it was they cut off all the phones in the dorm. They stopped letting us watch TV. And they came and did what they call a shakedown. They took everybody's paper and pencil out of the dorm.
Wow.
So after about a week, because again, I still have not contacted my wife at all.
My God.
And it's almost, I want to say about 15 days.
Wow.
So I'm sitting in there, and one of the guys, matter of fact, it was a public defender. Why he came and got me out, which was funny to me, I don't know. But I told him, I said, look, here's a phone number. I need you to call this woman, and I need you to tell her this specifically. 2 days later, 48 hours after that happened, the phone's back on, the TV was back on, and everybody had paper and pencil. Why? Because my wife was able to enact things that I was not able to do. She's able to contact people that I'm not able to contact. Yeah. What she did was, I have literally the video that says, do this first. You file a motion that lets them know you're going to represent your own interests. I always do that. It's the easy part because it's called an entry of appearance for attorneys. Me, I do it based upon contracts, and it's written in Latin. The second part is that I need discovery. That's supposed to be handed to me whether I request it or not. And the difference is that between say, oh yeah, I want discovery, is most people don't know. If you don't ask for something specifically, you cannot later bring it up in appeals. You also cannot then use it as a mistrial. Because they're going to assume that you was prepared for it. Because again, any right that you do not request in writing, any right that you're waiving must be done in writing. That's why the pen is mightier than the sword. A lot of people don't understand the actual power of putting it down. And if you can't spell probably, you're going to have an issue because you don't even understand the language of the court. And that's where I come in at.
So how do you get
need somebody immediately when somebody's arrested, you're going to file the motion for discovery. You're going to start asking for that police report. They're going to start giving you BS because the thing is, when you start having eyes on it, that protects them on the inside. Because everybody, I always tell people, everybody has a boss. Most people don't know. Okay, the DA has a boss. That's the state's attorney general. That's also the governor because that's the one that's signing everybody's oath. The police officers have a boss. That's the chief of police. The chief of police's boss is guess who? The governor. Because why he signs that oath of office. And then guess who the governor's top legal person is? The state's attorney general. That whole cycle. And here's where I get deeper. Whenever I start going after attorneys, guess where they actually have to have their stuff at? Secretary of State. Here's the great part about that. All that shit is public record. Whenever I start going after police officers, I find risk management. They've actually used clever names to cover up risk management. But then what you do, you find the state's manager or the city manager because those are the ones that are working with the prosecutor and the police.
So one,
yes.
First of all, have somebody and a plan. That's step one. Y'all hear that?
Absolutely.
Have somebody out there that's going to answer their phone.
Absolutely.
Because you know people, I don't answer phone numbers that I don't like. I don't understand that. That's crazy to me. Have somebody that's going to answer their phone.
It sounds like somebody needs new friends because they got a whole bunch of debt. But go ahead.
They
can't come get you anyway.
Have a plan. Talk about this stuff prior to it happening. Even if you know you're not in trouble. Me and my daughter, cops stop you, put your phone on so I can hear everything and we're recording everything.
Or here's the great part about it. So you don't even have to get your phone. I actually did a video 3 years ago. 3 levels of dash cameras.
Oh, we got 4K.
That. Yes.
We got that.
And it's beautiful. The one we had was the one with the 4K and the audio where it catches the audio outside.
And just for people out there, just for knowledge, say you don't have all those cameras and things like that. There's a site called Mobile Justice, and as soon as the cops stop you, you press Mobile Justice. It gets sent to 3 people that you trust and directly to the ACLU. So even if they destroy your phone, the video is going to go straight to the ACLU.
And most people didn't even understand the context of why Facebook, Instagram, Periscope, and all of them started having the cloud-based savings. So as soon as that phone cuts off, it's no longer on your account. It's actually in the cloud. It's because cops are deleting videos. Because literally there's a video of a cop who caught it on his body cam. He deleted somebody's footage like it's off their phone forever. Like, no, we got it down.
Right.
And then what was funny, I just had a client, it was funny, this cop was going, oh no, we wasn't messing with his phone. He sent the pictures back where the cop kept trying to unlock his phone because he has a nosy girlfriend for the most part. So every time they tried it, it gives you a timestamp and the person that's looking down at the phone.
What's it called, Anastasia? Sorry to interrupt. What's it called?
It's a Mobile Justice with the ACLU. It's a mobile. It's an app for your phone. It's called Mobile Justice.
Got it.
The other thing I was gonna say. So we already at number 4. What's number 5, sir?
Number 5 is I actually tell them to smile. depending on your situation, because it's a tool, and that's the motion for speedy trial. Because
okay, what's number 6?
Actually, now you're gonna just stay in everybody's behind.
The outside or the inside?
Outside.
Outside. So what is the person on the outside at this point doing?
Contacting and staying on everybody's butt. Because even with me, one of the things that I'm actually doing, because even when I first started, because like I tell everybody, I'm gonna date myself a little bit. When I first started this in like 2009, I was one of the first people with 1 million followers on Periscope, because I was teaching this online.
Got you.
And one of the things that happened was I was getting stopped a lot. So people were like, okay, so we can protect you, so you can at least get it, is as soon as you get stopped, hit Periscope. That lasted all of like a year, and then the feds kind of broke that off. But it is what it is.
You were getting stopped because they knew you were helping people to have their rights.
No.
Is that why you're getting stopped?
No. I was in Atlanta, and I'm 6'4", 300 pounds.
Oh. Okay, so it wasn't correlated with that. Okay. Right.
Threat. So number 8, what's the next thing you're going to do for me? My child is in jail at this point. What am I doing after I've done all of that?
Here's one of the things I've actually started weaponizing, because you're going to have me give out everything. But I
don't want you to give. I don't want you to give all.
No. I actually would start the actual process, the federal court with habeas corpus.
Got you.
Because again, the more eyes you have, once you start putting pressure on the state's attorney general, I'm gonna give you what actually pushed us into trial after 9 months was the fact that I subpoenaed this state's attorney general and Sonny Perdue.
Okay.
Because it was Sonny Perdue was the one, he actually gave us the nickname of the 300. Because I was going to actually save the story for, the October 25th day. But when we first started this, it was the funniest shit ever, because, me and my brothers at the time, we were getting out the game, and we were all legitimate, business owners and trying to be family men and all that good stuff. And the funny shit was, we were at my troublemaking brother house, and everybody had white cars. So it was like 8 white cars just parked all at his house, just randomly as hell. We had just sued a police officer.
Right.
So his neighbor comes over and goes, "Hey, do y'all see these 2 cars riding up and down the street?" So no, we hadn't. So now we're all looking out the window looking crazy, right? And we see the car stop across the street. So we all, because we're legitimate, we're stupid, we're smart, we walk outside and start posing. So when the cops roll up, and he's like, that's the DeKalb County cop. And I yelled at him as soon as he rolls his window down. I said, "You tell your Xerxes he faces free men here, not slaves." So everybody cracks up laughing. We go in the house. So then I got a friend that worked in the governor's office. He said, "You do realize Sonny Perdue refers to y'all now as the 300.
Wow.
Every time we would send something in, or I was working on somebody's behalf, is he working with the 300? Okay, yeah, we're going to deal with it. But it got to the point to where even after Sonny Perdue left, we got in Nathan Deal's ass. Because at the end of the day, these are your people. These are your attack dogs. I'm sending them your head. I'm sending you their head.
Right. Got you.
And the thing is, a lot of times what happens is I tell people when you start pressing, when you start, like any other bully, they're going to do one or two things. They're either going to press harder or they're going to press on something different. One of the things with me was whenever I started pressing, they started going after my brother-in-law. They started going after my children. They started taking shots at my wife. They took shots at my niece. They took shots at my nephew. The thing was, I was in a position to actually defend them when those shots came.
Right.
But a lot of times the conversation that we're having right now, it's how do you prevent the Sandra Blands? How do we prevent these secondary? And the only way to prevent them is to actually start fighting back and getting rid of these trigger happy folks. Start going after these union heads. Actually start making them feel pressure. You have to be willing to go through
understand you. No, I totally understand what you're saying, because, and I'm gonna tell you why, because we have, his name is Kevin Davis. If anybody that's watching Google's Kevin Davis, he's the police chief out here in the county out here. He beat up a black man in 1993. He's a bad person. He beat up another black. He kidnapped a 17-year-old. Like 4 years later, he was fired out of Baltimore. This cop here, Tyler Timberlake, beat up a black man. The police chief was on the side of good and was like, "This is crazy." The fraternal order the police. He retired, and they brought Kevin Davis in. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's like a club. It's like a club.
Yes, and he is currently the chief of police out here after beating up two black men.
And here's the crazier part. If you actually think about it, I actually did again, listening to my podcast, it's me taking shots at folks. And I always tell people my podcasts aren't for people that's trying to learn law. I'm going after people that are protecting cops. Because I want you to tell me after listening to the things that I'm saying, because I'm only giving you facts. I'm giving you things you can actually go and look up. So I'm giving them to you to actually see if you're okay with that. If you're okay with just accepting that. Because Officer Kevin Dingle, he blew up on TikTok because he had a video where he was crying, why do they do it? And they don't smile when they see me. Why? I said, okay, cool. I went from 2020 to 2021, 2 years, 14 months period. 20 Atlanta cops. One of them was a gang member that was killing folks at traffic stops. Yes.
And this is in Georgia.
This is in Atlanta, Georgia. I didn't go all over Georgia. I didn't take a whole. It was 20. But he's asking, why are people not happy to see him? Why are we now? I just brought up another Atlanta cop from Atlanta DA that charged him for shooting a naked man 47 times. I'm talking about a guy, because here's the thing. I can talk about this all day long. The simple question is, matter of fact, I'm gonna go back because I have to keep bringing up the podcast because I talk about some other stuff. I talk about
self-promotion. I love it.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm promoting you.
It's almost shameless. It's almost.
No. That's what we have you here for.
That's what we have you here for.
That's why you're here. That's why we invite you.
That's why I said it's almost. It's almost shameless.
You're good.
I bring up the podcast because I did one called The Morality of Murder. And I gave you scenarios. And what came from was I was watching Harvard Law. This is one of the things that they're teaching at Harvard Law because it's talking about the mentality. And I talked about how we moralize police officers killing folks. Because why? What's the first thing they do? They talk about, he was arrested in the past. He did this in the past.
They name his rap sheet.
What was he doing right then? Nothing. And when they can't smear you, they disappear the conversation. Remember Amir Locke? What about him?
Yep.
They couldn't smear him because he was a college student and a law-abiding gun holder.
Yep.
Tatiana Jefferson. What happened with her?
Exactly.
Okay.
Jordan Edwards. What happened to him? Okay.
Here's the great part. Here's the great part about it. So when I did that, right, I then do the conversation of the bad police officers in Minnesota. I talk about the cops that were not only disciplinary problems, but that are currently working. I talk about Did you know the most violent police force in America is in Phoenix, Arizona? I just did one talking about Jerry told the people that it was their fault the police officers were shooting them. But then when you see a video of a child stealing from the dollar store and her police officers being told by citizens, you need to calm down, and them then lying in a police report, was that the citizens' fault also? That they were going to blow somebody's effing head off for a $1 doll that the parents didn't even know the child it took?
Right. I know what you're talking about.
So,
I know the story.
or what about the 4-year-old that nobody talked about that was shot in the head out in Phoenix?
Yeah.
What about the young lady that was tased? What about the young man that was tased at a traffic stop that was a passenger in the car? He was tased on his genitals 40 times. See, I guess that was the people's fault too. But then when I talk about these things, and I then talk about Jerry, did you know she colluded with the prosecutor, you know, the one who speaks on your behalf, to actually make innocent people gang members? Then said they were more violent than the Bloods and the Crips and even the Hells Angels, because she couldn't keep it racial. She had to make sure it was violent. But now these innocent people are violent gang members who have issues against cops. Guess what the cops are now having a license to do?
Kill them.
Because we moralize murder because the person in blue is supposed to be the good guy. But when I talk about these things, these are the things that nobody wants to hear from me. These are the things that they vilify me for. These are the things that they can actually look up themselves. But then are we still talking about a few?
Well,
because again, somebody has to go along with this. Others have to write this down. People have to give these orders. Are we talking about a few?
But we're not. But Richard. But this is the thing. We're not talking about it. We know that it's not a few. The whole system is rotted. Angry Soccer Mom, and I'm gonna tell you right now. We agree. Listen, you cannot reform a rotten tree. You can't do it. So at the end of the day, if it was a few, why don't you get rid of them? But you don't get rid of them. You let them stay. You let them fester. And
you spend $50 million a month to make sure they're staying.
Exactly.
You make sure whenever they're reprimanded that they get their jobs back. Because that's why I tell people, here's the funniest thing in the world. I'm gonna give you something real tee-hee. Do you know that probably about, I'll say 200 of my followers are police officers currently?
Tell us why.
Do you know none of the police officers correct me when I call them trained attack dogs? None of them.
They know who they are.
Tell us why they follow you.
Hold on. Do you also know that none of these police officers correct me when I say they have low IQs? None of these police officers correct me when I say this. When I give these Supreme Court decisions, nobody challenges that. But when I say, well, there's a good portion of these bastards out here, because I also give you the credit. Good cops ride by themselves. You know why? Because they can't depend on backup.
Right.
They can't deal with anybody's being reprimanded. Because just like the sergeant in Atlanta, they actually had to fire people that was with the sergeant that kicked the handcuffed woman in her head because the lady that was with her didn't flinch. So that means you've seen this before.
Mm-hmm. Right. This is how it's done.
I'm talking about Georgia. And then we watched the soccer team, or what was that? The lacrosse team get pulled over. And people were actually surprised that the cops lied.
Yeah, the girls, when they got pulled over.
Surprised.
Yeah.
Oh my God, go read the comments of the first video.
If you read
before it was actually posted, when they posted the two different ones.
Right.
The police chief was like, oh, well, no, we didn't do that because of this, that. Bastard, the girls was filming these fools.
Right. You're talking about the lacrosse girls that were coming from.
They were filming them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they sat there and lied openly. And then guess what? Now nobody wants to talk about it because it changes the narrative. When we're talking about these things,
I think we got a couple of trolls. Sammy Dunn said the dude with the orange blanket on her head So am I a dude or am I a woman? Is autistic.
Here.
And Lorena mentions the rise that bald lady yelling. The white chick is just agreeing to get black. Oh.
Let's not give them attention. I'll just get rid of them.
I didn't know if you had seen it.
No, I didn't see it. I was waiting to jump in and make a comment. I wanted to. I'm sorry that's.
And you know what's sad? That's what they want. They want attention. They just want you to say their name.
I just didn't scroll down yet. Because I wanted to jump in. I know my friend. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry, I was not scrolling down because I was trying to.
It's okay.
Yeah. My friend Harper said. I want to make a quick comment. She has a friend with her who was jailed for 9 years, and he's watching with her. Richard's story is really resonating with him, and my friend ended up representing himself. So I know Harper's a friend of mine, and I'm glad that they're watching. But yeah, trolls. We haven't had trolls in a long time. It's kind of exciting.
Oh, we must be moving on up.
Rich, I'm just saying, as long as they're talking about you. But,
hey,
I do have a question.
Thank you for the watch time.
You know,
that's funny.
I do want to ask you a question, Richard. I'm gonna ask you about 3 different situations. Okay.
Works for me. Let's go.
So the situation with the young man that was shot at 90 times and was hit 60. Your thoughts?
I'm gonna actually ask y'all a question before I go into that. Did y'all catch the part where they said he shot at them first, but there's no proof of that?
I did.
I heard that.
And not only did they not find a gun on him, they're saying that the gun was in the car, unused, and his wedding ring was there too. Did you see that?
Honestly, I've stopped watching those videos.
I saw the gun part, but not the wedding ring part.
I'm just telling you. So,
see, those are the little things that they don't want you to pay attention to. And see, and I often tell people, whenever you get discovery, not only look for what's there, look for what's not there.
Well, details matter. They matter.
There's a point where details matter. But here's the thing. If they're hiding something, you have to find out why. Now, I'm going to give you the thing that they hid from us. But they also didn't know I had, because again, I was anti-government and I hated America, yet my daughter's in the military. My nephew went in the day we were arrested. Like my brother's a cop. Like my uncle who I eat Thanksgiving dinner with he's a police officer, been a police officer ever. And but I hate cops and I hate government and all this other stuff. But then I actually asked for discovery. They turned over discovery. But you know what was not there? The warrant application.
Okay.
Most people don't think it's not a big deal because I got the warrant. I'm looking at the warrant. But do you know that there has to be probable cause in the application to even get the warrant?
And don't the judge have to sign that?
Whoops. What
That's
happened to the judge? And the judge, all of a sudden, when I started asking for it, took leave. Whoops. So guess what? Those are flags going up. Oh, whoa, hold on. And now that I consistently ask for it, everybody's getting insistent with me. Why do you need that? Because y'all got a warrant right here, so it had to come from somewhere.
Right.
I can't talk to the judge because the judge is gone. So, yeah, because if I can't subpoena the judge, I can't get those answers.
The bottom line is we need you.
These are tactics.
Richard, right? We need you.
Right. So my question,
the tactics that they do. Because like I said, the defense attorneys that was on my show, they did not know what a detailed discovery was. Yet it's written in organic code. You know, the thing that they impress upon you. The thing that you're supposed to, they assume that you know now that you're 16.
Right.
Because most people don't even realize what they're doing. In a lot of states, they're trying to lower the ability to get a driver's license. Because did you
Right.
know
Yep.
if a state's competency test, because you have to be competent to supposedly know law, right?
Right.
A driver's license is the competency test. Because if you're 15 with a driver's license, oh, you're supposed to know law. You know better. Ain't that what they tell us? You know better.
Right.
Because see, now it's commonplace for them to be manhandling a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, putting children in cuffs. Why? Because they're working the mentality part of it. Because they're telling you now to go ahead and get comfortable with that. Because when I watched the movie, the Hate You Give, it hurt me because every situation in that movie I've been a part of. I've had that conversation with each and every one of my children. I have 6 of them.
As have I. And
here's the crazier part. When you're talking to a 9-year-old that has no clue, because even, I'm going to tell you, last year, my son came to Texas with me for a couple weeks. And the client sends me a video, so I'm trying to, I thought he was playing his game, but he's over my shoulder, and I'm looking at this video. And my son takes a deep breath, and he's in shock. He said, "Why did that police officer do that?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "The dude was just laying there, and he had his hands out. Why did the cop kick him?" And I was like, how do I answer that? Because he's 10. A 10-year-old is asking that question. I now have to give him a real answer. And he stops and he takes a deep breath and he looks down at his arm and he looks at the guy on my phone and he goes, "Was it because he's black?" My answer has to be, that's probably a good chance of it.
Yes.
And then he starts hearing stories. He started seeing things. His older brother on his face, 16 years old, in his own front yard. My well-behaved child is on his face in his own front yard. Not somewhere down the street, not acting a fool, not doing, he's home.
In his own yard.
And these are the questions that my children have to answer. Because even like with me, my son that's 19 now, I tell people I understand his anger. He's my anger child.
Right.
He lacks respect because he's watched cops talk crazy to me, call me the N-word, be rough with me, and then end conversation with, "Oh, I apologize, Mr. Bay. Is there anything that you need for me to do?"
Nope.
He saw me then turn into a whole different person with these people.
Right.
He saw me have grown men stand in front of me whimpering. And I was like, that's why he does not respect cops. It's because he can't.
They haven't earned it.
He was with me. He watched cops throw me to the ground. He's watched cops push me on the floor. He's watched cops put guns to the back of my head. He's watched cops hit me. And then watch those exact same cops apologize to me and beg me not to sue them.
Right.
These are, and then the thing is, when you're going through that, it's the context of understanding what it is. It's because I did a video and I just read the poem. It is not our darkness that we fear the most, is our light. Yeah. My niece, she loves to sing "This Little Light of Mine." It used to irritate the shit out of me. I'm like, oh my God, would you quit singing that? But then I understood. Now I sing along with her. Let your light shine. Because I don't want anything dimming that light. Because as long as she believes, she has an opportunity. And even with scenarios of the Sandra Bland's, like certain situations, you're not going to be able to stop because you cannot fight ignorance. But you still have to not allow it to go any further. Because I watched Robert Shapiro use my motion in George Zimmerman's trial. His motion in limine was literally my motion. They just changed a couple of words. I watched him use that. I watched him intimidate Ben Crump and her lawyer. Trayvon Martin's lawyer into not suing him when he did an interview and he read off the very definition of wrongful death. He admitted to it verbatim. When he said it, I was like, is he reading this? But because they didn't pursue it farther, he went out and continued to commit ruckus.
Yes, you talking about Zimmerman, right?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
And it's the absence of the fight back, because we believe the ones in the shirts and ties are telling us the truth. We're taught that they're telling us the truth. We're taught that they're telling us what's right, and that's why I hate the shirt and tie issue. I hate putting it on. But here's the crazier part. I'm actually going to do an experiment.
Okay.
I'm going to put on the glasses. I'm going to put on the shirt and tie. I'm going to say the exact same things I say right now. It's different.
Well, it's respectability.
I'm going to shave a little different. I'm going to get my teeth fixed, get all that. And I'm going to see how my words look different. Make it a little easier for you to look at me, because I'm real ugly right now. I get it. But I want to see what the difference is, because I'm going to say the exact same thing.
Right.
Because again, it's the trained mind. That's why when you looked at any discrepancy anywhere in any battle, it's for the mind. That's why it's called mental warfare. Right. When they come out with the drums, mental warfare. When you're playing music, mental warfare. When you're pumping yourself up, you're preparing yourself for a battle.
Right.
These are the things that I train your mental. That's why I tell you, I'm not here for law. I'm here to prepare you.
Right.
And
but I have two questions for you.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I know you know about the Miranda rights. Now, the cops don't have to tell you your Miranda rights. Okay. And the situation about if you're convicted, you can't bring up new evidence, thoughts.
See, there's a nuance. You can't bring up evidence that was not brought up during trial. Let's say you asked for certain things multiple times and it never got brought to fruition. You can now have that same evidence brought for your appeals, because it was already requested. It was already set up. You're not necessarily looking for... Okay, let me back up a little bit. The most used thing for getting appeals or a new trial is legal error and ineffective assistance of counsel. Because the defense attorney is your employee. You're paying him a check. Read Youngblood. They have to follow what you say do. Now, if they aren't doing those things because you're not putting it in writing, no one knows any better. But if you're putting every communication together in writing, line by line, precept upon precept, these are the things that allow you to fight effectively for your freedom.
Okay. Kimberly, angry soccer mom.
It's okay.
Yeah, I was like, who is Kimberly sending me emails?
Nobody. I was talking about my daughter. I'm just used to talking to my daughter, and I was just like, ooh, what?
I could keep you here. You are a wealth of just knowledge that we so badly need. I posted where to find you a bunch of times, and I'll post it in this video. But I wanted to give folks who are listening a chance if they had any questions or quick questions for you, because
absolutely, this is
it's just, so anyone who has any questions, please. I'm gonna sort through some of this right here.
Oh, and let me say this too before they ask the first question.
Please do.
Understand, anything that I give you, I'm not going to be nice to you about it, because I literally had a young man, like I was explaining earlier, he wanted to use a velvet hammer. And I asked him simply,
a what?
Why do you want to use a velvet hammer with them when they're using a sludge hammer against you?
I got you. Okay.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what?
What?
Because I've actually had people say, oh, no, I don't want to do that, because they were so nice, and then turn around a week later and them nice people are suing them.
Right. Yeah. They're so
nice. Or the nice people are testifying against them. Because I had 13 nice people that I helped testify against me, so I can go to federal prison for the next 2,000 years. So
these people are not your friends.
Your
like say. They are not.
So I'm not going to be nice to you. Right. Everything that I do is harsh. Everything I do is to make a point. Everything I do is to bring attention to what you have going on, and it's to get you free. However, I'm not going to care more about your situation than you do.
Amen.
You stop caring, I'm going to stop.
Amen.
Now, let me ask you, how do people get a hold of you? And I will put it up. I have it, but I just want you to tell them. What if they want to hire you?
The easiest one is shoot me an email to greatestnow@yahoo.
Yahoo. Oh, you old.
Can you say?
I told you I was going to date myself.
Can you say what? Can you say that once more? Greatest Now. What'd you say?
Greatest Now. GREATESNOW @yahoo.com.
Okay. Got it.
Greatest Now. Because I've been great for a long time.
Hey!
Personally. There we go. Oops, did I get that? Oh, I didn't spell it right, but people will catch on.
You say Yahoo gets a lot of spam.
Absolutely.
But if anybody watching right now has any questions or wants to call in, definitely do so. Having Richard on is an absolute honor. He has taken it upon himself to learn and educate himself, and we are the beneficiaries of that. And I want to tell you personally, I just so appreciate you and what you do. Because
I appreciate you guys.
We all need the equality.
Because even one of the things it popped up the other day, which was funny when I typed in the 10-year anniversary, where I was setting up one of the shows. A movie I used to watch, Predators, Predators with an S, the one with Lawrence Fishburne. That's also from Augusta, went to Josie. But anyway, in there he talks about the value of seasonal change and the army of three: defense, prosecutor, judge. That's your three. Their tactics change once you beat them. Now, we now saw an onslaught of officers, prosecutors, DAs, judges, even losing their job in 2021. 2022 now has brought new tactics, just like they spoke about. Because again, that was something that I watched in 2010. That's how old that movie is, so just in case y'all wasn't paying attention. The new tactic now is to actually put you in jail, list charges on you, and then wait 3 to 6 months before they actually charge you. Because again, what we talked about before was the wait time. Because for 6 to 9 months, you can't even prepare. And what they're telling people is you now have to come to the court and find out, because technically your notice was your arrest.
Wow.
But see, these are things that most people don't even know or even caught up on. But one of the things I actually bring in, because I've actually done this, twice in the last month, literally, it's send notices for involuntary servitude and malicious prosecution. I'm actually getting ready to put up videos on those, because you have to understand exactly what those mean based in law. Not the shit you've been told on TV, because all it's doing is telling lies to your vision. Because what happens is, go ahead.
I want to ask you something, because you brought up something.
Absolutely.
Cop propaganda and law propaganda. How do you feel that all these shows like not cops, but Law and Order, CSI, all these shows affect how people see the cops versus what's truly going on?
Are you ready?
Of course.
Are you ready? Amanda Ruffin did a video called Propaganda. They took it down off YouTube. I then did a rendition of it because it spoke about the programming. Because I've heard you say it a few times too, Anastasia. Programming. So it speaks directly to why we believe certain things, and it goes to the actual stats. And even the fact that they say, oh, well, we're more afraid of this guy that's dark skinned versus this white guy. But then when you look at the statistics of those that are actually hurting cops, it's not the dark guy. So what makes me more fearful? What makes me more violent? It's because you're watching it. I cracked up laughing because a friend of mine, he was a professor at the University of Iowa. This was back in 94, 5. Oh, no, 95. So sends me to Iowa. Young boy, 20 years old. I'm walking out here at the University of Iowa. White. Then there's a janitor. Janitor looks like me. White. Go to the store. White. Then I go to my hotel room. I turn on TV. Everybody getting arrested look like me. And I'm like, well, where are all these? I literally left out and started walking because I wanted to see where these people were. I was like, I have not seen. The entire time I was there, I saw two people that looked like me. One was at the airport sweeping. The other one was at the university sweeping. But everybody that was arrested looked like me. So I'm like, I don't understand that.
That's how we initiate people. That's how we
then, matter of fact, but hold on, here's the great part about it, right? So we say that, yeah, the blacks are committing most of the crime. Then you forget about officer discretion. The blacks are being charged with the crime. The blacks are being less hired. Those are the ones that have the least amount of money for bail. Those are the ones who have the most displacement. Those are the ones that, because it's easier to hold them. Those are the ones that are easily manipulated because they have the most to lose, the most frequent. So now if I have 100 needles and 13 of them are black and I keep picking out the black needle, I'm looking for the black needle.
Well, that's been proven over and over again.
In hell, I'm missing 83 regular needles.
Right. No, it's that type of bias.
We know that because
I even posted one the other day, and it was funny as shit because they asked, Facebook took it down. Beverly Hills put together a task force during 2021, right? Beverly Hills. They arrested over 1,000 people. One Hispanic, 999 blacks. No whites. In Beverly Hills.
Houseway.
I've been to Beverly Hills.
Exactly.
There aren't that many black.
But explain to me, how do you not possibly have one? When they are the absolute majority there. You are literally only arresting the people that you don't feel should be there. But then when it happens, oh, well, they must have been doing something. And here's the problem with that. I call it the orange jumpsuit mentality. They think just because the cops are trained, everyone is a criminal and everyone's out to hurt them. So once you put on that orange jumpsuit, you must have done something because we're expecting the good guys to know the right thing to do.
Getting the call.
Let's get it.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Hi, this is Harper and Steve.
Hi, what's up? You're on the show. What do you have a question or comment for Richard?
Harper and Steven.
Oh, hi.
How are you?
We're doing great. Do you have what's going on? Hey, Harper.
Steven's listening to
Steven.
Richard, and like he's nodding his head. He's like, yep. Because I told you my friend represented himself.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Can you hear? Richard, can you hear this?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I have it on my TV, but I can only hear you talk. I can't hear anything in the background. You know what I mean?
Okay, yep. No, you're good. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Well, hi, Angry Soccer Mom. Nice to meet y'all. Hi, Richard.
Steven.
And hi, Ann.
What's up? What's up?
Yeah, I represented myself, and I was in jail for 9 years. And I've been listening to everything you've been saying, and some of the comments that Richard has said. And I have to tell you, from my personal experience, it's the truth. But, you know, one of the things I wanted to say, and I asked Harper to help me call in, was that, you know, a lot of times the miseducation and misinformation in the public is that everything's being done according to the law. And that's just not true.
Absolutely.
I've filed motions, I've studied the law, I've prepared motions, I've argued in court, and I went from 5 life sentences down to time served and just get the hell out of our state.
Yep.
Wow.
And that being said, you know, a lot of people knew I was innocent, but no one wanted to help me. And so, you know, when I went in front of the judge with these motions about speedy trial, I had filed over 7 speedy trial motions. Some of them, half of them were based on state law, and half of them were based on a combination of state and federal law. And knowing that, I went in front of the judge, and each and every time he declined, refused, and turned me down, I just couldn't understand how my lawful arguments didn't have any impact on anyone who was listening. But at the same time, I started to realize, you know, I'm a minority. And, you know, at the same time, people don't really care to really put any kind of effort into it. So, you know, what Richard had said earlier about having a support group on the outside is super important. It is the most important, because if it wasn't for Harper and my private investigator, you know, doing their job, her with moral support and him trying to find answers, you know, there was sometimes getting discovery, like Richard had said earlier, you know, I could see that there was stuff missing. You got page 1 through 20 on the, you know, on the reference, on the page reference, but you only have 10 pages, you know? You had sometimes where they would say that they were redacting information, you know, that was sensitive to, you know, the people I'm accused of. And at the same time, but they're redacting paragraphs, you know? And then all of a sudden, as well, you know, you have tactics like, for example, Richard was talking about, and I believe that was discussion about mental warfare. I've seen people that literally signed away their life 20 plus years to plea agreements just because they wanted to get out of jail. Just because they wanted to get out of jail. Their family left them, their finances are done, their house is gone, the dog has ran away, and, you know, no one has any answers, but you can go home in 20 years if we just sign this plea agreement. So, you know, I appreciate listening to y'all. And as somebody had told me recently about my situation, they suggest I go to Dateline about my situation and kind of expose the whole system from that point of view, from my experience. But I really appreciate listening to y'all because, you know, when Harper told me to watch y'all at first, I thought, well, you know, I'm not really too caught up on, you know, what their, you know, background is or what the conversations are like. But after sitting here and listening to some of the things that were said, I completely support the opinions and comments that y'all have made because it is actual facts. And as somebody that's actually lived it, in 2013, I was accused of crimes I didn't commit, and everybody turned their back on me. And it was in that moment I realized I had to do something or I'd spend the rest of my life in prison. So I went ahead and fought them, got into the law library, started to study the law, and used the best tools that I had. But I pissed off a lot of people along the way. They don't like it when you do that. They don't like it when you show them that they're wrong. They don't like it when you show them that the system is not right. And I've seen stuff in the courtroom that I never would have saw from the other side, having somebody represent me. I've seen you know, weird signals between prosecutors and judges. I've seen, you know, conferences that were supposed to include me and they never did. I've seen where I've walked in the courtroom and they've had decisions already made, but they were just making it known on the record, you know, for everybody. And I've been a part of that. And sometimes they would say, hey, we're going to talk about this now and we're going to agree to something. But when the record starts playing, that's what we're going to do again. Are there any questions?
Well, you're the reason. You're the reason we're doing this.
On
Thank you so much. You are the reason. People like you who get the short end of the stick, and it's not right. That's exactly why I'm so sorry for what you've been through. But I really appreciate it. Do you want to say anything?
Thank you. Y'all have a wonderful night. We're still watching y'all.
Okay.
You too. Good night.
Thank you. I'm so sorry for what. Wow. All right.
All I wanted to say is,
I love you.
Love you.
Love you too. Is that the issue? Is the old saying is that it's better to be rich and guilty than poor and innocent.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, this is not about morality. This is not about protecting anybody. This is not about that. It's about revenue.
Money.
Prisoners are a commodity.
Money.
And this is what I'll say, and I'm gonna let you back in, Richard. The simple fact of the matter is that this is not a black and white thing. However, when black people were let off those plantations, we got to do something with all these people. What are we going to do? We're going to make the black codes to put you right back in jail and put you right back on those plantations and make money off you. And we still now have our slave labor force. The simple fact of the matter is prisoners are a commodity. When you go to these prisons, I don't think people even understand why do they put them out in these little towns out in nowhere. That's not to protect anybody. It's voting.
Voting. Yep.
It's voting. And it's also about the money. The wardens, I remember a story. You probably remember this too, Richard. The warden had got a certain amount of money for the prison for the food. He got the bare minimum for the prisoners and then bought himself a house. And I think he went and bought himself a boat.
Yep.
You remember that?
And hold on, I'm going to say something too. That was in Georgia too.
Greed and corruption on steroids. It's
right. And then even Sheriff, what's his name? Sheriff Arpaio, I think he was. Arpaio.
Yes,
the one
that
with
the dude out there in Arizona.
Right. And he put the prisoners outside and made them wear pink and a couple of people died.
Hold on. I want you. Hold on. Nobody's going to appreciate what she just said. He was putting people. If you've seen the movie The Longest Yard,
I have.
Right? With Burt Reynolds or Adam Sandler, it doesn't matter. Both of them dealt with the hot box. Right. I don't know if you've ever been to Arizona.
I have.
We were driving back in 2019, July 3rd, in the middle of the night. It was 103 degrees at night.
Yes.
He's putting people in these little boxes that are getting in the middle of the day. They're tin. They're made out of tin.
Yep.
They're getting as high as 115 degrees.
Yep.
So imagine the inside of that. He's literally cooking these people.
Yes.
People are dying and he's disposing of the body because you were in jail. You must have done something. And then they'll tell people they have no recourse to fight back because the prison's private. But what they forget to tell you is the fact that once they take custody of you, that's exactly what it is. They're responsible for you.
You are a ward of the state. You are property.
Even when you read the Georgia State Constitution, it actually reads, you are a trustee of the people. You are amenable to them at all times. It is, for those that need to look it up, it's Article 2, Paragraph 3. Look it up. I spoke it. I read it. I can go ahead and re-edify it for you. Just understand. Most of these have no idea what the word trustee means because most people are not taught trust law, let alone criminal law. That's why they can't separate the context of codes and law. Most people don't even realize that Ren v. U.S. never stated a traffic stop was a crime because you have to have standing. Oh, what is standing? There has to be an actual injury.
Right.
That's when a crime comes to effect. Right. That's why Warren Buffett's favorite book, I Learned Everything I Need to Know in Life in Kindergarten. The first rule is keep your hands to yourself. Play well with others. So if I'm keeping my hands to myself, and when I do deal with somebody else, I know how to deal with them.
Right.
How am I then causing something other than an accident?
Right. And the other thing about it is that dude, the black dude, Sheriff Clark, the one that was parading around with the hat, he literally was the cause of a woman's baby dying. I think the woman died too. They died of, one of the prisoners died of dehydration. So
he actually had like 3 or 4 issues, like in the span of like 2 months.
Yes. And the thing about it, what I'm trying to tell people out there is you have prison and then you have jail. Sandra Bland died in, was murdered in jail.
Yes.
Jail, not prison. So when you, and the reason why I bring these things up, Richard, is because me personally, when we went back, is that my fear is the ride from wherever my child was to the jail, and my child being in jail. Because
just to give you an example, a man, I want to say 2 or 3 days ago, he was arrested outside of a movie theater, and the cop stated he resisted, which basically meant he mouthed off to the cop, because he was like, "What are you arresting me for? You know, write me a ticket so I can go on my way." The cop didn't like the way he was being talked to. So the cop arrested him. They put him in the back of a paddy wagon. Here's the crazier part. Because again, the easy is cops don't even believe that they're good people.
Nope.
They have this thing called a rough ride. So they're driving crazy, which means they're driving reckless and dangerous. You know, the thing that you shouldn't do, that they'll write you a ticket for and actually throw you in jail for. And in the midst of doing that, he slams on brakes. This man cannot hold himself. He's not handcuffed properly, and then his hands are behind his back, ends up breaking his neck. They leave him like that for another 20 minutes. He gets to the jail. They snatch him out the truck, not following their own rules. And then they tell him, "Oh, you're faking." Or let's talk about the young lady that was in a car accident in Georgia, where she kept complaining about having a headache. Notice I just said she was in a car accident, which meant that she needed to go to the hospital prior to going to jail. What was crazy about it, because I have a friend who's a key turner. That's a security guard, the inside the jail key turners. I said, "Look, you're going to have to do what this dude does, because Georgia is horrible." The guy calls his supervisor, says, "Hey, she's throwing up blood. Oh, don't worry about it. She'll be good till in the morning." He recorded his supervisor saying this. Calls again 30 minutes later. "Hey, she done passed out on the floor. She going to have to wait till morning shift." They went in there that next morning. She was dead because she had brain trauma. A week later, 1 week later, same supervisor. He's in there as a young man. He's beaten up so bad by the cops because they didn't like the way he was talking when he came back from court. So 5 cops beat him up and threw him into the cell. Anybody that doesn't know what a cell looks like, it's smooth concrete and steel. After beating him up, they threw him into the cell with just his underwear on. He cracked his head open, and they let him bleed out on the floor.
It's just like,
when I talk about these conditions, that's just the holding. Just like you said, that's jail.
Right.
That's jail. I'm not talking about prison. That's before we even get to prison. Georgia is right now being sued for having the most deplorable prison system in the country. You know who's number 2? Alabama. Because you literally have all these prisons that they're filling up, supposedly. They're having 2-man cells that are occupied by 6 people. Why? Because this is, again, another form of mental warfare.
And revenue. It's money.
Yep.
Money.
Because
It's all money.
I'm gonna give you a tee. You ready? You ever watched the movie Tyler Perry had, Madea Goes to Jail?
No. Yeah.
Okay. In that, there's a section where he's using an actual jail that's in Atlanta. Do you know what jail that is?
Mm-mm.
That's Forest Park Jail. Ask me how I know, because I've been locked up there. But here's my question to you. Forest Park wasn't a new jail. How are there so many empty sections when the jail in Forest Park is overcrowded? And was overcrowded at the time? How was he able to film a movie?
Purposefully overcrowding it. They're purposely.
But again, you have to understand the tactics. So now you're automatically assumed a criminal, because even when you're sitting somewhere on bail, just to give you another one, right? Even the young man talked about the loss of hope. Your family's gone, your job is gone, your house is gone, all that's gone, hope is gone.
Your kids
the audacity, the fight back, the audacity of you. So now you're accepting stupidity. Like, you know what, I just got to get out of here. But that's what you're going from. So now any upgrade is better than where you're at. Just understand that.
Absolutely.
Any upgrade is better than where you're at. So now, when you're sitting up here and you're thinking about the actual fight, it's the understanding of now, even when you get out, why does the recidivism rate so high? There's gaps in your resume. Nobody cares that you was innocent. No one cared that I got acquitted.
No, they've destroyed your life. Your kids are gone. Your house is gone. You have no job.
No. But understand, in 2012, when I was acquitted, they just saw that I hadn't been working for 3 years.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Now everywhere I'm applying, you're too overqualified. You're so overqualified. You're overqualified. You're overqualified. You're overqualified. Now here go to T. Most people have no clue about this. The simple thing is, I was vilified and called a cop hater. I was called anti-government. I was a terrorist and all this foolishness, right? After going on 30 interviews, literally 30, my last interview was McDonald's, where I actually told the lady I have a daughter to feed. I'd rather sit here and work for this raggedy McDonald's check than hold you up and take yours. I told her that at the interview. My brother's like, oh, thank you. 20 minutes later, a cop calls me and says, hey, do you want to work? I'm like, dude, yes. He got me a job at Wachovia. I had no business working at a bank. A cop. So when you're telling, so I love the narrative, because it's easy to vilify me because of how big I am. It's easy to vilify me because of the things that I'm doing and saying, because it sounds crazy. But when it actually comes down to it, it comes down to I respect human beings. That's why when I say it's justice for all, I understand what a war is. I'm not mad at somebody just because. I'm mad because you're doing something wrong to someone else.
Right. I hear you.
Because that cop didn't care that I had sued 30 cops before. He didn't care about the DAs I had sued. He didn't even care about what they was calling me in the news. He saw that someone needed help, and he had an opportunity to help them. Guess what? That same cop calls me right now. Andre still gets on my nerves right now, 10 years later.
So Richard?
Yes.
We have to go because
wrap it up.
Angry Soccer Mom has to go to work, and I have to get beauty sleep so I can do nothing tomorrow, because being retired and everything.
Oh, yes, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Must be nice.
So much. Yeah, it is. It really is.
Thank you so much for being here.
But
thank you guys. As usual.
Richard, please tell us how to find you. Tell us what time's your podcast.
I am on all your major podcasting platforms. Thank you, iHeartRadio and Spotify, especially. Supreme Decisions Legal Minute Podcast, and it drops every Monday, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am best found on YouTube under Supreme Decisions. Now, I'm going to say a lot of things, and if you have children around, I do have the occasional drop of profanity, as you've seen if you watch most of this show. But it's all giving context to what it is that I feel, I believe, and I'm reading. The most important part is reading. My email is greatestnow@yahoo. Greatest now.
I typed it. It's in the I typed it in there.
Okay.
So thank you so much.
I
will
really
put
shiny
everything.
out here. I've got a little glow going on.
Good. I'll put all this information under the video. Thank you again for another incredible appearance.
Thank you. I
you are
appreciate
a godsend. I hope people call you. They can, if you can't find his number or his information, just get a hold of me or Anastasia, and we will get you to him. Thank you for all this.
Alrighty. Thank you, guys.
Be safe.
Bye, everybody.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for being here. You're wonderful.